How do you feel like with the new age of communications, has that been helpful in your work? Do you feel like policy moves faster now? Is it the same, just in a different name? I'm really curious because I was really against. I don't want to be political. I'm apolitical going into like late high school, early college, and then you get there and you're like, that's so naive. Everything is political in one way or another. So, but how do you feel like policy pace has changed, if any at all?
Well, I think it's definitely speeded up. As the communication means have speeded up. That's for darn sure. I mean, when I think of, just the language has changed. It's hard to keep up with all of the language of my younger colleagues, and but I think the communication has made a huge difference. When we passed the Marriage Equality Act in 2013, there was a lot of naysaying. You know, we didn't know if we would be able to change the hearts and minds of Minnesotans for something that just the legislature had passed two amendments. One of them said outlawing, marriage between people of the same gender, and so it was a vote that we had to have out in the community of the electorate, and another one had to do with voter ID. The two were on the ballot at the same time. What changed a lot was the ability to call millions, literally millions of Minnesotans, and have a personal conversation with them, sometimes starting with an email or a phone call itself directly. We were able to get our hands on a lot of mailing lists, and that kind of communication, because there were more cell phones, more access to those kind of connections, did do the job of changing hearts and minds more quickly than it had even like a few years earlier. People thought we were pretty doomed on that campaign. We weren't going to win it, and we didn't know until the actual vote whether we did stop the prohibition. Incredible amount of access that new media brought made a huge difference. And there were personal conversations, there were videos, there were, there's a lot more now. You and I could make a video today with our cell phone, but in those days we hired people to help us make brief, short videos that could be shared. And it was more difficult. So I think things have speeded up a lot, I'm not sure that's all good. One of the things I've learned, though, a lot of my younger colleagues, I think, substitute time with people face to face with more over the air. And I'm wondering how that works for you, because I think it's valuable, but sometimes I've just had to say to someone when they said, well, I sent you an email, it's like, okay, I don't sit in front of my computer all day and check emails, although it's kind of interesting to see a toddler swipe a phone and know what they're doing. It's like, oh my goodness, that little child may have brand new opportunities. On the other hand, that little child, if they are stuck there, may be deprived of being in the outdoors and having their hands in the dirt and knowing their neighbor kids and that sort of thing. So I don't know. I'm curious how you handle that too. I mean, it seems like it is one of those questions of balance.
Yeah, I agree with you that I am super alarmed when I see a 3-year-old holding a phone, because I also feel that there is a lack of connectedness on many levels, although again it comes back to privilege. Who has a backyard to play in, who has time to have babysitters, who has time for childcare, and so it really just depends on the environment in which people grow up in. But I think media is a bit of a paradox. It is so great to be able to, like you say, send out 2000s on a listserv at once, but it was so much being pumped out, it's more easy to be drowned out. So finding that balance, I think I've learned a lot of it through pipeline resistance, as you all know, with Line 3 up north, just seeing how powerful images and videos and testimonials from people are. But again, it can be easily twisted edited and really used against us. And it's really just a media war, which is a little bit disheartening sometimes when you see it's all just about who gets the limelight the most rather than the substance and the content of the issue. And as a student, you look back across time, whether it be from the 70s or from the early 1500s when colonialization first started, it seems that it's a repeated thing of whoever holds the most in
Yep.
terms of the press. So, but it's still, there's still hopeful to see, Karen, saying that you think things have changed and speeded up, and I think so too. It is progressing. So for me, I think it's helpful as a tool to amplify and a call to action. Getting people together and rallying quickly is how I see media being used as a tool. And through my connections with mentors in the early Greenpeace day, remember Bob Hunter talked about mind bombs, placing the seeds and images in people's minds to get them for that pathos. But I feel like pathos isn't enough sometimes. So I wonder, is media just something to distract us, make us feel better in the meantime? But I don't think so. I think that's a bit too dire and really falls along the binary thinking. So I try not to do that too much. It's not either or. Was it good? Was it bad? That's not really productive way to think. So yeah, I love media. I thought about going into communications at one point. I write. I'm an editor at a youth literary journal. So that's how I met Mickey here. So I think it's really cool to see how words, pictures, I mean, as hominids, I don't think language, reading, and writing comes naturally to us, but it's really cool to see how visuals have persisted and how they are used now. Right now, I don't live on campus, but I am involved in campus organization. So we use media a lot, and we use documents to get signatures, to write to the board, all of that. So it's really exciting, but also it takes a lot to put into it. It's very draining to wake up every day and try to convince people human rights are important, right? So how do you take those documents and not feel like it's an empty statement? That, I think that's something I struggle with. How many petitions are we going to use? Uh, how many sit-ins are we going to do before something changes? But nonetheless, I think that's how I view it. I didn't get my first phone until after my first year of high school, and I think that was about the right time. But now there are so many devices and the proliferation and the association with technology with progress, and I just really wonder if that synonymous relationship is sustainable in many senses. So yeah, that's my long answer.
No, that's great. You were reminding me though, some of it is a choice. I was just thinking yesterday, or Sunday, I guess it was, there was an opportunity to go online to participate in the Line 3 protest, and I was grateful for that because I couldn't go this time. And so some of the choices that open up because of media is a benefit, I think. I got to hear Winona LaDuke and Whitney Terrell speak, and
Yeah.
I'm far away from them, but I could share that moment with them. That was those are opportunities that this may sound really ancient, but when I first ran for office, we didn't have computers to use, and so our mailing list was a recipe box.
Yeah.
A recipe box that had index cards in it.
Yeah.
That's how we organized.
Yeah.
And we won. We did it. We had everybody's name on a card and we went and talked, but it was all personal, face to face, a lot of people power. So there are more choices now. That's a good thing.
I think the double edge of this technology is something we've recently seen, the near rise of fascism in our country that was basically fostered by social media. And that's the problem with social media is all the silos that people are in. And if you don't leave your silo, then you have a certain way of living in the world, thinking about the world, behaving in the world. And we just saw that masterminded and nearly got away from us. Right. So yes, we're on the edge, trying to do this work to turn this thing over, but the forces and the money and the capital behind the creation of a fascist mentality and a surrendering mentality to dictatorship is so present.